So let's do some really basic chemistry. What you see over here are some Lego bricks, and these Lego bricks should represent my atoms. So each brick over here is a separate atom. And you can of course also see that they're different colors, and the different colors represent the different elements. You cannot go smaller than an atom. At least, of course, you can go smaller. There are the quarks, which make up the atoms, and so on. Okay, but that's physics. When we're dealing with chemistry, the atoms are the smallest units that we're dealing with. So you cannot go any smaller than an atom, and you can see that there are different atoms, and these are called the elements. An atom is a single particle of an element. It has a nucleus, which is positively charged, and electrons. So what we have over here is if I use this one as an example, if I have a nucleus here in the middle, which is positively charged, then you have the electrons flying around it. And you probably already remember this from physics class or also from chemistry. Now, the way that the electrons fly around it is quite complex. It's not just like a planet circling a star, but actually it's a whole electron cloud, and it's a little more complex than that. We should not worry about that. In any case, we cannot go smaller than an atom, as I said, but the different substances can an element is a substances can also not be broken down to other substances. So this means is if I have an atom over here, I cannot convert this atom to another type. Okay, so I cannot change colors. Even though the one over here also has a positively charged nucleus and also has electrons, the charge is different, the electron clouds are different, and so on. So it is not possible to convert one element into another one. That is also important to understand here. So a substance that cannot be broken down to other substances is called an element. So we move on. What is a compound? Now, in nature, atoms rarely appear on their own, but they are usually bonded together over these electrons. And a molecule is formed when two or more atoms of different elements combine and pair up. So for example, if I have two of these blue ones bonding together and being put together, and we do not have a compound because they are of the same color. But if I have two of them of different colors sticking together, then I refer to this as a compound. And a molecule is, of course, atoms joined together by bonds. So if I stick two atoms together, either of the same color or of different colors, then I have a molecule. But and if they're of the same color, they're not a compound. And if they're of different colors, they're a compound. I'll give you examples of this in the next foil. So over here, I have several different molecules, and one thing that we have to clarify right now is what do the colors represent? Which elements do the colors represent? And in my case, blue is oxygen, O. Yellow is always a hydrogen, H. Green is always a carbon, C. And red is N, which is nitrogen. I'm just going to use this one over here. Okay, so and the point is now the following: which one of these are compounds and which ones of these are not compounds? So let's have a look over here at this one over here. We have an N over here, we have another N over here, and because they're the same element, this is not a compound. This is nitrogen gas. You can also abbreviate this. I'm just going to write this down here like N2, and it's not a compound. Is it a molecule? Of course, because they're connected over here. What about this one over here? This one is blue is oxygen, so I have an O over here. I have another O over here. There are 2 bonds between here. Over here we have 3 bonds. That's just side information, okay? This is known as O2. I'm just going to write this down here, O2. This is molecular oxygen. Is it a compound? No, it's not a compound because we have 2 times oxygen. This one over here you probably already know. It's H2O, it's water. Is this one a compound? Yeah, of course it is, because we have 1 oxygen over here and 2 hydrogens. So different elements bonded together. This one over here is NH3, hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. This one is also a compound. And over here, carbon, oxygen, oxygen, 2 bonds here, 2 bonds here. CO2, carbon dioxide gas, is a compound because we have different elements bonded together. And this one is CH4, hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. CH4 is of course also a compound because we have carbon and hydrogen. So this one over here is not a compound. This one over here is not a compound. The other 4 are. So a molecule is atoms joined together by bonds, of course. So all of them are molecules, okay? And a compound is a molecule made of 2 or more different elements, which I just explained. So that is basically it. But you know what? I'm going to increase the difficulty level a little bit. Here now, let's practice. We'll write down 2H2O. And I'm now going to ask you, how many molecules do you see, how many elements do you see, and how many atoms do you see in this formula here? So molecules, elements, and atoms. Okay, let's see. We have 2H2O. If you write the 2 here in front, then this refers to the whole thing which follows over here. So we have H2O, water, is a molecule. If I have 2 of them, well, then I have 2 molecules. So I can write this thing here. Also, if you want to see a structural formula, 2H2O looks like this. Oxygen, hydrogen, hydrogen, and the second one. Okay, so I have 1 molecule over here, another one over here, because you see that they're bonded together. So it's 1 molecule here and 1 over here. How many elements do you see? Well, I see hydrogen over here and oxygen over here. So I see 2 elements, hydrogen and oxygen. And how many atoms do I see? Well, here the structural formula is useful again. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 atoms. So that is basically, that's basically it. I have 6 atoms. If you want to, let's have a look at glucose, for example. The chemical formula for glucose is C6H12O6. How many different elements do you see? Well, for glucose, we have 1 carbon, a carbon over here, 6 of them, a hydrogen over here, and oxygen over here. So we have 3 elements. It is 1 molecule. And how many atoms do I have? Well, if I have 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens, so 6 plus 12 plus 6 is 24. 24 atoms. Okay, so that's it. Okay, we're going to in a different video have a closer look at the bonding and the rules that relate to the bonding. But for the introduction right now, I just think that's it for right now.